Hello guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. So today, I am going to be discussing the Washington Capitals trades that they have made over the past 2 days, as yesterday was the NHL trade deadline day, which means trades are officially done for the season, and there will be no more trades allowed. So we have 5 trades here, and we're going to be discussing each of them. So let's just get right into it. So the first trade, this happened 2 days ago. Nick Dowd has been traded to the Vegas Golden Knights. The Capitals received goaltender Jesper Vikman. Now, I'm not a fan of this move, just because we don't need goalies in this organization. We have Thompson, Lindgren in Washington. We have Stevenson, Bjorklund, and Gibson in Hershey, and now we add Jesper Vikman to Hershey. He was sent to Hershey, not South Carolina. And so now we have 4 goalies on the Hershey Bears, and that's too much. Somebody's going to have to get sent down to South Carolina. It really should be this guy, because I looked at his stats just over his career, and they're not good. Like, they really aren't. He was with, I believe it was the Henderson Silver Knights for parts of this year, and maybe last year, I don't remember. And the numbers were not good, and so that concerns me a lot. And so I just don't think you needed to get the goalie. They also picked up a 2029 second-round pick, and they got a 2027 third-round pick. So other than the goalie, I like this trade. I think the Caps got a good return for Nick Dowd. Nick Dowd is 35, and so I'm not going to complain about getting a second and a third-round pick for a 35-year-old player. But I do want to say thank you to Nick Dowd for all of his years that he spent with the Capitals, and I wish him absolutely nothing but the best as he moves on to the Vegas Golden Knights. The second trade, this was probably the most surprising trade, even though I did want this to happen. I didn't really know that this was going to happen. But John Carlson has been traded to the Anaheim Ducks. This kind of surprised me. John Carlson's been a Capital his entire career. He won a cup in 2018, and now he's an Anaheim Duck. So the Capitals get a 2026 conditional first-round pick. This will be a 2027 first if the Kings miss the playoffs. The Ducks will still retain the option to send their 2026 first until after the selection, until the selection right before them is taken at the 2026 draft. So basically, if the Ducks miss the playoffs, this is a 2027 first round pick if the Ducks miss the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, this is a 2026 first round pick. And they also get a 2027 third-round pick. So they did get good return, obviously a first and a third. That's good return value for John Carlson, who is old and near the end of his hockey career. And he did send, and there was a little interview that he made. And he said, he feels great. He feels like the best he's ever felt in his NHL career. But it was time to move on from John Carlson. The guy is old, and I just felt like it was the right time to make that trade happen. And so I do want to say thank you to John Carlson. He definitely had a big legacy with the Capitals, and it was a sad day for a lot of the players. All the players loved John Carlson. They loved the energy that he brought to that locker room, and Ovechkin, Wilson, and Strome all were interviewed about this move, and they all were very emotional and saying how much John Carlson meant to them. And so he definitely will be missed. And I wish him absolutely nothing but the best in Anaheim. A lot of people are also upset with the Nick Dowd trade there as well. So the next 3, they're not as big as the first 2, I'd say, but we still need to talk about them. So the first one here, between the Washington Capitals and the San Jose Sharks, defenseman Timothy Liljegren, I believe, has been traded to the Washington Capitals for a 2026 fourth-round pick that was originally from the Vegas Golden Knights. So a little details about Liljegren. He is a 26-year-old defenseman. This is probably the replacement for John Carlson. And Liljegren actually used to play with Rasmus Sandin, so they could maybe pair them two together. We'll see. He has been dealt to Washington for a 2026 fourth-round pick. I like this trade. Again, Liljegren's 26. He's young, and a fourth-round pick. I'm not going to complain about that. We'll see how he looks with Washington. The next one, David Kampf has been traded to the Washington Capitals by the Vancouver Canucks for a 2026 sixth-round pick. And so Kampf to the Caps for a sixth-round pick in 2026. Now, a little bit about Kampf. He is 31 years old. He's a center. And so he's a little bit older. And again, a sixth-round pick, that's not a lot. So, again, I would say low-risk, high-reward type move for him. And then also for Liljegren there as well. Both these trades, they didn't really give up too much to the point where if they don't work out, it's going to be the end of the world. No, they didn't give up enough. And so, honestly, both those trades I'm fine with. I think if they both work out, great. If they don't, okay, fine. We gave up picks for them. It's not going to hurt. This is the last trade that we have here. This is an AHL trade, but it still is a trade, so I'm still going to discuss it. Graham Clark has been traded to the Ottawa Senators for forward Ryan Bongiovanni. Not a fan of this trade. I mean, Clark obviously played for the Bears. This was his first season with the Bears. He's a talented player, mainly a goal scorer. It's disappointing that we traded him. I don't really think this made a whole lot of sense. They're both pretty similar with their stats. And so to me, this trade didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it is what it is. It's basically an AHL swap. Clark will go to Belleville, and then Bongiovanni will report to Hershey. I still haven't seen what number Wyatt Bongiovanni is going to wear, so we'll just kind of wait and see. He wore number 5 with Belleville, but that is obviously taken by Ryan Chesley of the Bears, and so 5 will not be an option for him with Hershey. So those are all 5 trades that we have to report. So I'm just kind of going to go over a few things that I kind of wanted to see, but the Caps obviously did not make. So the first thing is, I thought when they went out and got Jesper Vikman, that meant that basically they were going to trade Charlie Lindgren, and they ended up not, which I'm pretty disappointed that they did not, in my opinion. I like Lindgren. I think he's a good caliber NHL netminder, but I think Clay Stevenson is ready to be an NHL backup, and I think if you would have traded Lindgren, you would have gotten something good for him, and I think Clay would have done a good enough job as a backup in Washington. But they keep Lindgren, which means Clay Stevenson will be sticking around in Hershey for the remainder of this year. But that is definitely a move that could be made in the offseason because, again, you got to give a guy like Clay Stevenson a chance with Washington. They gave him a few games this year. He looked pretty good in them, and so I think he is definitely ready to take that next step and to be an NHL backup goaltender. So that was just, again, something that I thought was going to happen. Ended up not. Another thing is I would have expected them to go after a bigger guy. Maybe like a top 6, goal scorer. They didn't really get that. A lot of these, they got 2 players, but they did lose guys like, Dowd, Carlson. They didn't really get any big name players, I'd say. Liljegren, I think he's going to be a solid add. David Kampf, he's 31. I don't know what to expect out of him. But I just think that overall, I think we could have gotten a more, let's say, talented, a better goal scorer. I don't think we got better after this trade deadline in terms of now. I think for the future, absolutely. But I think in terms of now, I do think we got a little bit worse. And I do think this kind of shows you that we are not going to make the playoffs. Because to me, if they wanted to make the playoffs, they would have went out there and gotten a bigger name. But they did not. And so that just kind of tells me that they're not going to make the playoffs this year, but they definitely want to build for the future. And obviously the Caps have a lot of young guys coming up that hopefully will work out and be good NHLers down the line. So those are the trades. That's everything kind of that I have. Not much more other than I wish they would have traded Charlie Lindgren, but they did not. And so that means Stevenson will stick around in Hershey. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Jesper Vikman in Hershey. Again, he is hurt right now, so he will not be available for a little bit in Hershey. But yeah, those are the trades. That's everything that I have in this video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. See you guys.